When we teach a child to walk on his own, we stand a bit away from him and say, "Come." We hold out our arms, and with our hands we coax little Johnny or Susie to come towards us. "Come here. Come to me. Don't be afraid. I won't let you fall." We try to instill confidence in the child. We try to get him to look at us, to stop worrying about himself and the distance between us, and start walking to us. That is what Jesus is trying to do when he says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and find life burdensome, and I will refresh you." It takes a lot of faith to go to Jesus. Like with the child learning how to walk. From where we are looking, it is a long way from here to Christ. We are not sure how to do it. We might think it is impossible to do it. Our lack of faith in ourselves makes us afraid and hesitant. Jesus is trying to instill confidence in us. He wants us to take our eyes off ourselves, off our troubles, and look at him. And as we look into his eyes, as we concentrate on his face, without our realizing it, we start walking towards him. And we find ourselves in his arms, safe from all our fears. "Come to me," Jesus tells us, "and your souls will find rest, for my yoke is easy and my burden light." Jesus knows that if we keep our eyes fixed on him, everything becomes much easier, no matter how frightening and terrible it might actually be in itself. Paul the Hermit and his married sister, both of whom lived in the Thebaid, lost their parents. In order to obtain Paul's inheritance, his brother-in-law sought to betray him to the persecutors. So Paul made a very brave decision. He fled to the Theban desert as a young man during the persecution. He lived in the mountains of this desert, in a cave near a clear spring and a palm tree, that leaves of which provided him with raiment, and the fruit of which provided him with his only source of food. Then a raven started bringing him half a loaf of bread daily. He would remain in the cave for the rest of his life, almost 100 years, because of his infinite love to God, infinite trust to God. He didn't need anything more, because God is all. He just kept his eyes fixed on God. We can't say his life was easier, but I believe his life was much happier. Life is not easy. We all have responsibilities. And no matter how many or how few responsibilities we have in proportion to somebody else's, it seems to each of us ours are the most and the greatest, right? Of course. No matter how wise or how expert we are in doing things, we all run into unforeseen obstacles that frustrate and upset us. Is there anyone here who lives without a lot of stress? Nobody. Jesus Christ wants to help relieve you of it. He relieved poor Hermit of his lack of food and drink, so he can do the same for you. Come to me, all you who are weary and find life burdensome, and I will refresh you. Take my yoke upon your shoulders and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble of heart. Your souls will find rest, for my yoke is easy and my burden light. Jesus is not going to excuse us from doing our work and seeing to our responsibilities, but he is going to make them easier and lighter. Daddy and Mommy are not going to let little Johnny or little Susie get out of learning to walk. They are not going to do the walking for him, but if he keeps his eyes on them, he will burst into all smiles and giggles when he discovers himself already across the room, wrapped safely in their soft, loving arms. If we trust in Jesus Christ, as St. Paul did, if we keep our eyes and attention fixed on him, we'll find things that seemed impossible to us becoming something we have already accomplished. With the strength of Christ, with the confidence of Christ, we can do miracles. In the words of Jesus Christ, we will find ourselves moving mountains. Getting in the habit of glancing in the direction of Christ, taking a little time to go to him in our minds, looking into his face and eyes, is the best antidote for stress any doctor can prescribe. Our lives will never be stress-free. Some stress is actually good for us. It moves us to do things. But an overabundance of stress can be paralyzing, not to mention causing a burnout, a breakdown, a heart attack. Jesus wants to help us avoid such things. He can and he will if we only let him. But we must take the first step of faith and walk across the room to Christ and let him take us in his arms. Get in the habit of doing that before you do not anything else, and you will find life treating you much gentler and kinder. We might feel so pressured by so much that we don't want to take time out for Christ. We might think we are wasting our time, that going to him keeps us from getting anything done. That's like the person who rushes through breakfast, skips lunch, and takes work home with him. It is like the person who never takes a vacation, or when he does, he makes it a working vacation. You know what I mean, right? That person's work never really gets done, and his health is always in danger. Taking time out to take a soulful look into the face of Christ is the best time saver and quality control method we could ever find. Not only will we find ourselves more relaxed, we will do whatever we are doing much better and quicker than before. That takes faith, doesn't it? So does your taking time out to be here at Mass right now and you will take time out to come again, won't you? Jesus Christ is inviting you to go to Him, to come to Him often, every day of your life. Paul the Hermit did it, and now he is called a saint. Jesus is not inviting us to come to Him and be lulled to sleep. He is inviting us to come and be filled with incentive and energy to act. Christ is never one who sleeps. He is one who acts and motivates us to act. And He promises to be with us, helping us carry our loads. Ever see two oxen yoked together pulling a wagon? I looked in the Longman Dictionary for a description of the word yoke, and here is what it says. A yoke is a wooden bar used for keeping two animals, especially cattle, together in order to pull heavy loads. So Jesus is inviting you to be yoked to Him. And together you and He will team up to pull your load. That sounds like a wonderful deal to me. It was also a wonderful deal for Paul the Hermit. Together with God, they made such a good team to pull up Paul's difficulties, his loneliness in the desert. We don't have to do anything all by ourselves. Who in his or her right mind could turn down such an invitation? Yet we often do, don't we? Probably not so much because we don't believe what He says, more probably because we don't remember. Maybe we should write out the invitation Jesus extends to us, place it on our bathroom mirrors, our refrigerator doors, and in obvious place where we work, and read it often, and respond. Let me read this invitation Jesus gives us one more time. Come to me, all you who are weary and find life burdensome, and I will refresh you. Your souls will find rest, for my yoke is easy and my burden light. So, Paul the Hermit did it. He was a saint. And now, how about you?